Janet Silva, and this is a PowerPoint presentation on inclusion, and it's called Being Included, a Guide to Helping Everyone. I'm from the Central Valley of California, where there's a lot of tomatoes grown. There's something called a companion plant, and what I find is marigolds are the perfect companion plant for many vegetables. They do, when they're planted next to vegetables, they help the plant improve with its growth, and they protect and they facilitate enlarged development of plants. The other hand, we have another product that's grown here in the Central Valley, and it's called walnuts. And walnut trees give off a toxic substance, and they inhibit growth, and they ultimately will cause a plant to wither and die. So, are you a marigold? Are you a walnut? Inclusion is kind of like that. Every effort is made to include every student in general education classrooms. All students will have access to and can participate in the general education environment. All students are full and accepted members of their school communities. Lots of times, school staff and personnel experience barriers to inclusion. Sometimes it's parents who are hesitant or resistant to inclusion. Sometimes it's the staff themselves. They might not have a high expectation, or they believe that kids with disabilities are limited in their capacity for growth and progress. Another barrier might be that they don't have the training or resources that they need to implement real well inclusion. But the positive effects far outweigh any barriers or impediment to inclusion. Children who are experiencing inclusion have meaningful friendships developed. They understand and accept their peers and diversity, and this inclusion also has a positive effect on staff and families. They are able to collaborate together and participate fully. There's lots of strategies that are recommended for inclusion. They build relationship with your students, at the same time modeling those relationships so that everyone understands how relationships are built. Encourage interaction. Make sure that other students have time in the classroom to interact with one another and actually forge relationships that will be meaningful to them. And always celebrate diversity, and ensure that the materials that you use in your classroom depict all kinds of peoples with varying backgrounds and abilities. Excuse me. Some of my favorite, absolute favorite, I teach TK, which are 4-year-olds, and some of my favorite resources for them are Sesame Street. There's a character on Sesame Street who has autism, and she's depicted very well in a meaningful way that children can understand. Also, there's a book, a children's book called, it escapes my mind, The World Needs Purple Classrooms, and the children in that book experience each other's diversity and celebrate it. In my PowerPoint presentation, there's also listed some more resources that are for adults, but I thought those two that highlighted for children were very important. Thank you for your time.
Push it.
Mm-hmm.